Kia ora, welcome to Central News for Friday, September. I'm Hilary Entwistle. A group of Fijians lured to the bay to work on kiwifruit orchards claim they have been underpaid and forced to sleep on floors during winter after paying up front for accommodation. Their plight was brought to New Zealand First candidate Clayton Mitchell's attention, and he has advised his concerns to Immigration New Zealand. He says the workers responded to an advertisement in the Fiji Sun and were promised $15 to $17 an hour. They had to pay exorbitant amounts of money while still in Fiji to get their details and pay for their accommodation early. Hamilton turned 150 on the 22nd of August, and the occasion was celebrated with a civic ceremony with speeches, awards and the burying of a time capsule. The celebrations haven't ended though, with a huge family street party planned in the CBD in November. Mayor Julie Hardaker explains what we can expect.
Well, hopefully the biggest cake we've ever seen in the city. So we're going to have an enormous birthday cake, we're going to have fireworks, we're going to have music, entertainment, lots of different themes throughout the city down all of the streets that are going to be shut off along Victoria Street, and vintage cars, dancing, kapa haka, the list goes on and on and on. Fantastic day, 22nd of November.
The government, unions, district health boards and home and community support providers have signed off on an agreement that will significantly change the fastest growing sector in the New Zealand health system, providing support to elderly and disabled people in their homes. The negotiations for the agreement, which began in April, were in response to a legal claim brought by the Public Service Association against Healthcare of New Zealand for the payment of the minimum wage to PSA member Jenny Goodman when travelling between clients' homes. The agreement will require legislation to implement and is subject to ratification by the workers it affects, district health boards and home support providers. The growth of Auckland could have pluses and minuses for Waikato, with the region needing to be ready to meet challenges and take up the opportunities it presents. That's the key theme of a report on recent Council commissioned research presented to Waikato Regional Council's Strategy and Policy Committee. Some of the key findings indicated particular potential pressures in North Waikato, but also impacts in the east and south of the region. Continuing pressures for fragmentation of land in the vicinity of Auckland, and as demand for goods and services change, and the economy of the rural area may diversify from purely agricultural economies to service-based economies. Now for our marine forecast, West Coast, Raglan, easing Saturday morning to a northerly of 15 knots, changing Saturday evening though to a southwest of 30 knots. You've got very rough seas out there. High tide is at 1:04 in the afternoon. East Coast, Bay of Plenty, it is not looking nice out there. Northeast rising to 30 knots, gusting to 40 knots for a time in the early morning, then easing to a northerly of 15 knots late morning, becoming northwest 25 knots, gusting to 35 knots in the afternoon. The sea is rough at times, poor visibility and rain, possibly heavy, easing to showers in the evening, and some of those will be heavy possibly too. High tide is at 10:13 in the morning. Still to come, the new CEO of the Waikato DHB, the Ames Games Greens teams, and the weather for the weekend. Welcome to Central News on TV Central. Anne-Marie spoke with Dr. Nigel Murray recently to find out more about his plans for leading the Waikato DHB into the next phase and his return to the Waikato.
Well, it's a privilege to be part of the District Health Board now, and of course, having family around you makes a big difference. It connects you to the community. There are issues, health issues that your family has to deal with, and that's all part of it. So yes, of course, it does help a lot.
You have a varied work history, working both here in New Zealand and internationally. How is that history going to stand you in good stead for this new role as CEO for the Waikato District Health Board?
Well, I have worked here as a doctor, as well as getting into administration in New Zealand many, many years ago. My international experience has given me some perspectives that may be helpful here, and New Zealand does many great things, and it's good to be part of that program, and maybe I can bring a perspective from an international jurisdiction. But it's a wonderful opportunity, and it's quite a unique opportunity to bring different ideas together and think about how we can improve the way we provide healthcare to our populations we serve.
How would you describe your leadership style?
I would say it's very inclusive. It's such a complex system, health. You can't provide leadership just from a command and control point of view. That's just not possible. And as a physician myself, I think you have to be very engaging with your staff. You need to connect with not only the hospital-based community, but the community. It's in the wider jurisdiction. Primary care is vital to provision of health services outside the hospital. And let's face it, we really do want to prevent illness and prevent coming to the hospital more than we want people to come to the hospital. So we're here if we're needed on the hospital side, but we really want to connect with the community.
The Waikato DHB is coming to an end of an intense 10-year construction period. What's the next stage for the DHB and its staff?
Well, it's been nearly a decade for the District Health Board of reconstruction and phasing in different buildings and tearing down old ones. So it's been a wonderful achievement. It's run smoothly. It's been on time, on budget, and it's been a huge concentration for the organization. So from the hospital side in this huge campus, I was interested to find it was the single largest healthcare campus in the Southern Hemisphere. And that just it signals how complex and how many staff work here and how much we're a part of the community. So our connection is now to say, okay, well, we finished that phase. Let's get into improving our systems and processes in the way we work. You've constantly got to do that in health. Technology changes overnight. Every week you're looking at a program on television saying about the newest drug or the newest technology or the newest procedure. We've got to be responsive to that so our population here in the Waikato and in this region can gain access to it. So it's about now concentrating on those types of issues.
The board commissioned a report for the incoming CEO. How helpful has this been in giving you a clear vision of what's required?
It's been very helpful in guiding where there may be some issues. I don't think there's anybody in the District Health Board that would say the report was fundamentally wrong or highlighted something that it shouldn't have. So in general, there's a consensus that it's a good document. It's helpful to me as Chief Executive to give me a little bit of a map of where I should be looking to improve services, have stronger engagement with our staff and doctors, and most importantly, the communities we serve. Last thing I want is to be able just to be labeled the caretaker of this campus. That's only part of my job. It's to get out, connect with communities and districts and smaller parts of this community. In any large complex hospital organization, which this report largely focused on, there are issues. There are complexities about how we staff our wards, our programs, how we order our supplies, how we get best value for money, and everybody wants us to make sure every dollar goes as much towards patient care as opposed to health bureaucracy. So it's important as Chief Executive that I pay a lot of attention to that, make sure that we're the most efficient provider we can be, but also the most effective in terms of our quality programs. Improving quality of our services saves money and is better for patient care.
Waikato DHB serves around 376,000 people, and about 60% of those people live in the rural area. Have you had a chance to get out into the rural area?
That's a very important question that you've asked, and the answer to that is absolutely yes. Visited a number of communities already. Thames, Tikawiti come to mind straight away, and there are more to come in my induction program. I've talked to a lot of primary care providers, in GPs, other family practitioners and NGOs, non-governmental organizations. They're just as important in this induction for me as anything else, and I really, really enjoy getting on the road and out into the countryside of this wonderful district of New Zealand.
What are the challenges that the rural areas face that differ from urban areas?
Where I've come from in Canada, there's the same issue. much of Canada is very, very rural. And in my previous district health board, we had the same issue. And it comes down to what services should be provided locally versus when you should travel. And that's a difficult question, and it's different for every community. And you have to be sensitive to the local community's needs and travel patterns and the issue of the economy locally. But you also have to be very cognizant of quality of service. And if there's low numbers of activities in certain specialties, then sometimes it's hard to get the quality that you might expect in a modern healthcare service close as possible to home. Sometimes you have to compromise. Sometimes it's very appropriate to have it all locally, and sometimes it's very appropriate to travel to the higher specialty areas.
You can read more about Dr. Murray or the DHB on their website, and the report in full also. Go to waikatodhb.health.nz. Coming up next, Soda, their new boss. Welcome back to Central News. Hamilton-based business incubator Soda Incorporated has appointed Dr. Claire McGowan as the new CEO. She spoke with Anne-Marie recently and explained how her work history will stand in her good stead for her new role as CEO for Soda Incorporated.
So my PhD, my doctorate, was with Fonterra. I was based at Otago, but I was working with Fonterra in looking at how we could protect the starter bacteria from viruses to ensure that they weren't losing the product that they were expecting to produce. So that was a great experience in being able to understand from the science perspective, but also from the business perspective, the importance of connecting the researchers with the commercial endeavours. I went straight into an MBA program and did my project with Pfizer in the UK on risk management, and came back and moved into the finance sector. So worked in venture capital and then investment banking.
You have also built and sold your own company, IP Market. Tell me about that.
That's right. So IP, intellectual property. What I was finding when I was working in the investment banking sector was a lot of people, especially science-based organisations, have ideas, but they're not necessarily fully developed into businesses at that stage. So we built a global trading exchange, looking at buying and selling intellectual property. Now at that time, about half of the world's IP was coming out of the US, and so we were working with a lot of the big corporates up there in buying and selling their trademarks, patent portfolios, product formulations and so forth.
How do you feel your work history is going to stand you in good stead for this role as CEO of Soda?
Yeah, great question. I think where I bring a lot of value to the table is I've worked on all sides of the table. So I've been an entrepreneur, I've built my own company, brought angel investment and government grants into that. I've worked on the investor side, so with angels, with the venture capital and corporate investors here and offshore. And I've also worked with government agencies and how do we remove some of the barriers to encourage entrepreneurs in New Zealand, and also how we take those businesses offshore.
You've started at Soda during a period of growth. Is that a challenge or an advantage?
It has its pluses and minuses. I must say the team's done an amazing job in, very small team. To deliver to achieve what they have to date is fantastic, and I'm really excited, and just a few weeks on the job, really enjoying getting to understand and a lot more about what they have been doing and who we've been working with. But yes, I also agree, like a period of growth does bring its particular challenges to the task.
You've been in the role for nearly a month. From your discussions and observations thus far, what do you see the challenges facing Waikato businesses?
It's been great coming back to the Waikato, and what I'm finding is actually a lot of the challenges faced here are similar to those found elsewhere in New Zealand. I think for entrepreneurs, people with ideas, access to capital is always going to be something that they will be concerned about, and a big part of that is making sure they're prepared for the appropriate form of capital. So we're looking at how we strengthen those connections, but also just really celebrate and define the strengths of this region.
Where do you see the opportunities?
One, as we were just talking about, really working on those strengths and what makes us special here in the Waikato and how we can connect both nationally and internationally, but also what we could be doing to encourage entrepreneurs, one, to know about us. I think raising the profile of the incubator here, and also working more closely with established businesses, corporates who also have ideas that fit in the startup box, and growing those as well.
We know why we love to live in the Waikato. How do you sell the Waikato to the rest of New Zealand? What are our strengths?
I think most of New Zealand is aware, obviously, that with a strong agricultural and farming community here, but also niche manufacturing. We're very strong in that area. We have a sophisticated investor community who have connections here and offshore, and we have had an export focus. So some of those are specifically for the Waikato, but also seen throughout New Zealand.
Who inspires you?
Probably across a range, so sporting, educational, philanthropists, those who have really excelled in an area that they're passionate about and really define their own space in the world. I think that really excites me, and it's about creating and celebrating that success, whatever that may look like.
Looking forward, what's your vision for Soda?
I think one of the things I would really love to see is that more people are aware of what we have available here, so the team is able to connect with more entrepreneurs and help them succeed, grow their businesses, but also I think just really connecting us here and offshore is going to be something that I'd like to see, while maintaining this culture and sense of camaraderie, friendliness, passion and excitement.
For more details on Soda, go to sodainc.com. Just ahead, we're at the AIMS Games. Welcome back. The AIMS Games, held in Tauranga annually, has more athletes than the Commonwealth Games. Around 7,500 athletes are competing this year, and that creates a lot of waste. Luckily, there were green teams about.
Alrighty, Hope, tell me, what is a green team?
So a green team is there to educate the public on the correct use of a recycling station. So when someone comes up to a recycling station, they tell them what's recyclable, what's compostable, and what unfortunately has to go to the landfill.
What is recyclable?
Anything that can be broken down over a period of years, like aluminium or glass, Coke bottles, yeah.
Now, what are the numbers, Hope? I mean, how much waste is there and how many athletes are there?
Well, this year there's 7,500 athletes here at the AIMS Games. We can't tell at this stage how much waste that's going to be because it just varies every year as the number of competitors increases. Last year there was over 900 kilograms of waste and over 350 kilograms each of recyclables and compostable materials. Based on those figures, we could estimate there'd be over 1,000 kilograms of waste and over 450 kilograms each of compostable and recyclable materials.
That is a lot. So you guys actually have to put your hands in and sort through the rubbish, or are you kind of separating it beforehand?
Yeah, sort of beforehand, because we've got picker upper things that we have to use too.
Oh, so you're not actually getting in amongst the rubbish? Ah, that's all right then. Reese, the green team's job is to encourage people to use the right bins. How are you doing that? Are you telling them off?
No, when they come up to the bins, if they're about to put in the wrong bin, we'll tell them the right bin to put it in, so then next time they have the rubbish, they'll put in the right bin.
And once all the rubbish is sorted, where's it going?
So at the end of each day, our awesome green teams, they bag up and put all the materials at our collection points for waste management to pick up. They pick it up each morning, and then the waste goes to landfill. The recyclables go to Waste Management's material resource facility, and the compostable materials go to Revital Fertilisers here in Tauranga. And we have another bin there for Tetra Paks, which Anchor are collecting and taking back to Auckland for recycling.
So there's heaps of companies behind this initiative, aren't there?
Yeah, it's huge. Coffee Chick are the coffee vendor here at the Ames Games, and they're the ones supplying compostable coffee cups so they don't all go to landfill. Yeah, it's great. And we've got Tauranga City Council here backing us. They're helping us have the recycling stations here. Without them, it'd all go in the bins. And yeah, and Sport Bay of Plenty, they're all behind it. And yeah, it's huge.
It's very, very big. Now, alrighty, Riley, why is it important that we recycle and look after the environment?
Because if you don't, we will waste our precious resources like bauxite, silica sand, iron sand, and trees, but they can replant themselves. So, yeah.
We just put me to shame because I have no idea what half of those things you talked about. Harley, why is it important that we look after our environment?
Well, if we don't look after our environment, it will just keep getting dirtier and dirtier. So we have to keep on top of it and keep recycling and things.
I agree. And Carlin, why do we have to look after our environment?
Because if we don't, then our Earth will become like a barren rock, and there's only one Earth. We can't live on Mars.
It's a very good point. There's only one Earth. And Reese, what's your answer to that question?
Global warming.
Nice, I like it. Straight to the point, global warming. Well, thank you very much, Green Team, and hope all the best out there. Cheers.
I'd just like to point out that those kids in the background were from an Auckland school, obviously not from the Waikato or the Bay of Plenty. Now for our region's weather for the weekend. Hamilton, rain eases to showers. Northwest turns to a southwest for your Saturday. You've got an expected high of 19 and an overnight low of 9. The rest of the Waikato, rain easing to showers in the afternoon with a northwesterly turning to a southwesterly. Paeroa 18 and 9, Matamata 17 and 9, Te Awamutu 19 and 9, and Tokoroa you can expect a high of 17 and an overnight low of 9. And for Tauranga, rain, then showers and a chance of a heavy rain there. Northerly dies out, 19 is your expected high and an overnight low of 10. The rest of the Bay of Plenty, the same for you, rain then showers. Te Puke, you've got an expected high of 17 and an overnight low of 10. Sunday for you, Hamilton, a few showers easing and the southwesterly will be easing as well. Your expected high is 16 and an overnight low of 6. The rest of the Waikato, showers becoming isolated and the southwesterly is hopefully easing. Paeroa, you've got an expected high of 16 and an overnight low of 7. Matamata 15 and 7. Te Awamutu 16 and 6. Tokoroa 14 and 4. Tauranga, your Sunday, a few showers clearing, southwesterly developing. Your expected high is 17 and an overnight low of 7. The rest of the Bay of Plenty, the same for you, a few showers clearing and a southwesterly developing. Te Puke, you can expect a high of 15 and an overnight low of 7. That is Central News for today and this week. You can get in contact with us via Facebook, centralnews.tv, or via email, news@tvcentral.co.nz. Next week, we find out about some of the horrors of our commercial fishing industry, what to expect at the Garden and Art Festival, and an ageing workforce. It's one of the biggest problems facing the Western world. Until then, I'm Hilary Entwistle. I hope you have a lovely evening and a fantastic weekend.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.